My life is crumbling.
Things are not perfect.
You just have to go really hard.
That's a Foxhole moment, I guess.
So we want to dive deep into the trenches.
I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be like this.
Everything's sacrificed when you're trying to build a business.
Yeah, I want that.
We'll see how deep in the foxhole we get.
Welcome back to another episode of In the Foxhole. I'm your host, JC Chanowsky.
And I'm Angela Schroeder.
Good day, Angela. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited about our guest today.
I know, the guest that we get, again, we've talked about this before. Some we know, some we don't know. Our guest today, James, I literally just met yesterday, and I just feel like I got a best friend. And the cool thing about it was we didn't even know he's so close to us, and we might go see him. But James, thank you so much for jumping on with us for In the Foxhole today. How are you?
I'm great. It's really fun to be here with you guys. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for the conversation ahead of us, and look forward to what comes out of today.
Excited. Yes, that we are. Just a great conversation we had last night with the four of us. We're able to explore your business and some about your life. But many people listening probably don't know who you are. And so why don't you give this time to introduce yourself, talk about your business and where you're at right now.
Absolutely. So my name is James Hatfield, not like Metallica, because that's James Hetfield. I'm James Hatfield, like Hatfields and McCoys. And yes, my great uncle is Devil Anse Hatfield, which is a very cool documentary if you watch the Kevin Costner one. That's my great uncle shooting things up. But hey, that's why I got the big beard. That's a Hatfield beard. But I work for a company called LiveSwitch. I'm a tech nerd. I love inventing products. I love selling products. I love scaling for-profit and nonprofit businesses. And I mean, JC, we've gotten our start together. I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about power washing as well as technology as well. So I've been a business owner myself. But today, I know we're going to talk about LiveSwitch. We're going to talk about how we are disrupting different industries, including home service industries, with the power of live video. We are a very unique company. And in fact, I bet most and all of your listeners have used our stuff, touched our stuff, and they had no idea it was us. So I'm excited to talk about some of the things where people are like, oh, that was you guys? Yeah, we are the tech nerds that make things happen. So thanks for having me. But I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for the organization, and I'm in charge of growing our sales team, managing the dollars coming in, as well as making sure our customers are insanely happy. And that's what we're trying to do, is have happy customers and make sure their customers are happy as well, because it's home services.
So before we dive a little bit, just because we were fascinated by your story as well, and now I'm even more fascinated. I mean, you're telling us about your name. We've got so many great stories in the history here.
I keep you going. I'm telling you, I've got tons of crazy.
Dive into LiveSwitch and really more of your business journey. Tell our audience a little bit more about your journey and how you got here. Even the beginning of last night, you telling us power washers for power washers, made by power washers for power washers, of your journey of in business.
Yeah. So I come from a pretty humble beginning. My father built his own home. He put himself first one educated in college. My grandfather actually didn't even graduate high school, had to quit because his father died. A lot of our fathers end up passing quick, but thank God my dad's still around. But we're just kind of salt of the earth guys. My grandfather's dream for me was that I would paint the highway, literally open a company that would paint the lines on the road. That's what he wanted for me. My father wanted me to be a plumber, and that's great. They're fantastic. I'd be happy doing either one. I can sit on a machine all day and paint the whole nation from coast to coast, and I'd be a happy guy. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. But what ended up happening is, just like my father, he had to pay his way through college. He's like, son, you're going to be paying your own way as well. I was like, okay, let me figure out how to do that. Because I have no problem knocking on doors. I've been knocking on doors and selling stuff since I was 14. I'm sure a lot of other of your listeners can relate to that. But I'm like, all right, well, let me start a painting company. So I'm going to learn everything about painting houses, and I'm going to put guys to work while I go get my degree in business. Because I felt like, hey, if I'm going to be a business owner, might as well get a business degree, finishing up at NC State. But during that time, I was painting houses, knocking on doors, walk up with my little clipboard, got my little polo on, and I'm yes, sir, yes, ma'am. We can paint. This is everything you know about painting. We're gonna power wash the house first, paint the side. I've got your trim. I've got your mains, and let's go pick some colors and let's get it going. I'm gonna put my guys to work. Well, I hire my painters. Now I'm sure everyone here deals with staffing, but I've got a few young painters, guys that are kind of new to it. Bless their heart. These guys are falling off ladders. They're accidentally painting the roof. I'm like, I got guys going. I'm like, you guys understand? We're getting paid hourly here, right? We got to go faster. That you aren't Michelangelo. You're not painting the Sistine Chapel. Like, paint the rail black, my man, and move. Let's go. Show up to work on time. Oh my God, I'm trying to get an education. And then one day we're painting the house, and the neighbor walks by. Hey, could you guys I don't need a new paint job, but would you be willing to power wash the house? I'm like, oh, I got my equipment. I'll do it right now. I'll send the guy over. We'll get it done in 30 minutes, hour, and a couple $100. And I was like, hold on. My guy goes over there, power washes the house. Owner loves it. Here's the money. I'm like, okay, let's go power washing. So next week, going out on the weekends in between classes, knocking on those doors, building the business. And sure enough, put myself through college with the power washing, painting, power washing, commercial, residential, anything I could put the power washer on, we do it. And so I did that. And then when I graduated, ended up, I fell in love with the stock market. I'm a weirdo. I'm just a weirdo. Okay. I love the stock market. I think it's the best thing in town. And so I'm going to go build a hedge fund. I'm going to go build the dang thing. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I don't like working for people. I like to put people to work. I don't know if you guys familiar with that, JC and the other listeners. I'm just wired up that way. I'm wired to lead, and to grow things from nothing. And so I get into a company. There's 9 of us. And this is back before there's computers on the desk. And I'm dating myself a little bit. My job was to cold call, pick up a phone 150, 300, 500 times a day, calling out of the phone book to meet with people. Right? Just whatever. I don't really care about the no's. I don't think about that. I only care about yeses. Like, I know I'm going to get a couple. I love golf. I don't worry about all the 100 bad shots I took. I remember the 2 putt, the long putt or whatever. The same thing. And so I'm going, and I'm like, all right, I get to this little company. I'm the first salesperson, and there's a bunch of nerds. These guys in fintech. They built like a system to take income statement and balance sheet and help a small business owner understand what the numbers mean. When you go see the accountant and you're nodding your head and they're like, income statement is this, balance sheet is this. Like, well, how much money I got, dude? Can I pay my staff and can I pay my family? But they created this tool, and I'm the first sales guy. I'm literally working in the hallway, calling New York City 500 times to sell this software. And I did. I totally did. And one led to another. And then all of a sudden I'm hiring sales guys, and we wanted to be flat. No management. Like, everyone checks their title at the door. But I found that I was a top sales guy every month. And then there was these bottom sales guys, and I'm like, well, I can bring them up. Like, I can coach. Like, I love coaching, So I'm coaching these sales guys and bringing them up, and finally like, we need a salesman. So I end up leading the sales team. Right. And we go Inc. 500, for those that don't know what that is, it means you're one of the fastest growing companies in America for 3 years straight when I was running it. And we ended up taking that company to $1 billion company, believe it or not. Great exit, made tons of wealth for people. And it was great. It was awesome, and got into philanthropy after that, making nonprofits. We created a couple nonprofits, and I'm still a little young, and I'm like, I'm not done yet. Like, I don't want to be put out to pasture. Let's do it again because we're crazy, and we don't know why. So we find this company that's like 11 years old, and we meet these co-founders. We don't understand a word they're saying. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm like, they're speaking English, I think, but these nerds, actually call them the nerds, but they're computer scientists, and they're doing incredible stuff. And the company's great. They're putting together stuff, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute. I'm long talking, Angela. Hopefully this is okay. I'm getting to the story. But
I'm stories.
We buy this company 3 years ago, and I'm also an inventor. I've invented some other products and for clinical, and that's a whole nother story I won't go down. But I start off leading our product team. You'd think I'd lead the sales team first, but I led the product team first, and I'm hanging out with the nerds. And these guys are brilliant. They're so brilliant. We bought this company, 11-year-old company out of Vancouver, Canada, with our co-founders, and the folks are still here. And I start learning WebRTC. Like, nobody try using that at like a dinner with friends. Oh yeah, WebRTC. Nobody knows what that is. And I'm trying to tell my family and friends, like, oh yeah, I'm doing this technology, WebRTC, and everyone's like, cool, like, great, have at it. But I'm a power washer. I run like that. I'm come from the blue collar side, which I love, man. And I'm like, I got to do something, man. But before that, it was, this is weird. This is life. But I'm building these products, And I get this opportunity to meet with the chief of police of Washington, D.C. Can't make this stuff up. And to reinvent the 911 phone call with video. But the chief, for me to get the meeting, he's like, you got to make something I can touch, feel. Like, you can't meet me unless you got something. So I call my nerds. I'm like, dude, I can get a meeting with chief police. We got to build something. So on nights and weekends, I'm taking my co-founder and some of the other computer scientists here. We're coding this thing it's called Next Gen Policing. And we create, using our tool, our WebRTC, which is a video tool, and it creates it to where 911, what's your emergency, comes in. Then we can send you a text. You click the text, and then you can point that. It'll light up your cameras, and you can point it at the emergency, and it goes right to the police car. And you know why we were going after this? Because of all these stupid school shootings. They're ridiculous. I'm like, someone's got to do something about this, but we want to see what they're going into. So we're working with the chief of police of DC. I'm meeting these guys that are taking care of like 20 years in the FBI, taking care of pro ball teams. And I'm showing them our emergency response. We're meeting with top universities in the country because I want to help, hey, can't the students just, like when the shooter's on campus, all the students aren't packing, but they're packing cell phones, so let's light them up, with the phones and show the police where these guys are. And let's take care of this. Right. But it just so happened I met this guy in the 20 years FBI, bless his heart. He takes care of the Tennessee Titans Nashville football team. And his name is AD. And I'm showing him. He's like, James, this is really nice. I really appreciate it. Older fellow, And he's like, I got the dumbest question. I'm like, what? He's like, I got this big arena and I got my guys. He's like, can I just have them show their cell phone when the trash cans fall over so I don't have to hop in the golf cart? So I'd see it and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely. I'm like, who else can use text to connect video where you don't want to download an app? Oh my God. You just want to I just want to see what you're looking at. Well, I have some investors in the company, and some of these guys, one of the guys is really into self-storage, like self-storage, mini storage, self-storage industry. And some of these guys have moving companies, and we end up, he's talking to these moving companies like, you can just use this to do virtual estimates so I don't have to drive out. Like one guy, his name's Wade Zweikel. I don't know if he listens to the show, but he's fantastic. He has these moving Titan retreats and things like that for movers. He got it. Like I showed him my little science fair project. I was like, do you like it? And he's like, this is gold. He's like, James, you don't know what you have, right? So he purchases, and then from there, me and the geeks start iterating on this. And all of a sudden, we're like the fastest growing moving company software on the planet. I know how to power wash a house, and moving, bless your heart if you're a mover. You're awesome, but we just took off. And then the mover's like, well, I also have a landscaping company. I'll use it for that. And I've got a this, that, and the other company. I'll use it for that. And then, oh my God, now we're everywhere. So anyway, that's how I crossed paths with you guys. And here we are. And we meet.
Here we are. What a story. I love all that.
Popcorn and eat their cookies and sit on the magic carpet while I tell the story. That's our story. That's how we got here. I know I'm missing some other pieces. I can talk about it later, but I'm excited to talk more. But that's our journey. It's been a fun one so far.
It is an incredible journey. That's why I wanted you to tell more of it and how you got here. And it is. You have an incredible journey, and you're such a fun storyteller. And you said grab the popcorn. It is. I'm like, what happened? So it is amazing and so fun what you guys are building, and your passion just comes through in every conversation of what this can do, what you guys are doing for it, and the number of lives that you're going to change is just incredible. So,
in all industries, just across the board of entrepreneurship. So
we've been talking.
I'm waiting for someone to use this for emergency response and say it saved a life, and I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. That's the good stuff. Everything else is just cream. If we can make the planet a little better than we found it, I feel like that's work worth doing. Whether I'm power washing a house because I'm cleaning a house that looks better than when I found it, or if I'm helping 911 with an emergency, so save a life. Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, so many parts of that story that I loved. I just love the humor of, we talk a lot about on this show when entrepreneurs are on here and they're talking about, how they started a business, because a lot of times people are, serial entrepreneurs and have different businesses they've started in the journey. And yours reminded me of, some guest called it an entrepreneurial seizure. That it was just like we were going along and happy in the nonprofit. And we're like,
business.
business. And we don't know what this is. This sounds fun. And that was sort of your description of that. Like I said, just love all the parts of your journey. So we're going to ask you about some of them. In all this that you're building, it can't all have been rosy. So we're going to go into some of the in the foxhole moments. But before we do that, what's a win that you're celebrating? You probably have lots of them, but if you can tell us about a win you're celebrating in business or in life.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, in life, I have 4 kids, right? So every day is a win. When I wake up every morning, I'm away traveling for the week, and I got this text from my wife of all my kids saying, "I miss you, Papa. I miss you." And like each one of them, I'm like, that's a win. I'm done. All my kids love me, at least now when they're 13 or under, when they kind of wake up and they're like, "Dad's not a superhero anymore." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just some regular dude." But for now, I'm a superhero. So that's a win. I've got my kids fooled for a little while longer. So that's a personal win. From a professional win, I get these stories every day. Like, it's when you create something out of nothing. So I come from some inventors. Like, my grandfather invented cable, and another grandfather invented some airplanes, was asked to be a founder of Boeing. So I'm a little competitive too. So I want to build something better in cable TV. So there's that. But anyway, when you build something, like, I remember drawing this thing out. I woke up at 2 a.m. I have this weird quirk of, like, you guys ever have this? Like, if you get an idea at 2 a.m. or 3, you can't go back to sleep because you're just marinate on it. I used to just sit there and marinate on it until, like, that's probably respectable. I'll get up at 5 a.m. Now I just get out of bed, walk downstairs, get on my iPad. Right, Angela? Angela just bought an iPad. I got her convinced.
I did.
Angela bought an iPad. Tim Cook, you owe me a couple bucks. But I just brought out this idea, because I got to get the meeting with the chief of police, right? So I'm drawing out this idea, and then it comes to life. It's like, there's this old, like, British story. It's called The Velveteen Rabbit. I don't know if you know it. It's like one of those things you read your kids to bed. But basically, the story is about this little kid who's got this little stuffed animal who loves it so much and wants it to be real, and loves it so much it becomes real, and it becomes a real animal. And so that's how I feel about building products, is like, at first you kind of just think it's going to be something, and then you, like, love it so much and that it becomes real, and then someone else uses it and sees it, and then they come back to you like, "Hey, James, like, I bought your stuff, and, like, the next day I used it and I won, like, a deal I would have never won, like, because of your stuff," or like, "Oh my God, like, this is incredible." That's the kind of moment you're like, wow, that's really cool that happens. And in fact, it helps with, like, it's great for the environment. Their customers love it. Like, I've interviewed this other guy. He's an electrician, and he's been doing this, and his customer's like, "This is really cool." He's like, "Why isn't everybody doing this?" And I'm like, guess what? They will. Maybe not today. I was the first person to buy the first iPhone. Anyone else an early adopter like me? Like, I got to get the first. And so it's that early adoption curve. And then as the wave comes, it kind of becomes normative. And then they're like, "Why doesn't everyone have?" I remember you remember the Nextel walkie-talkies back in the day?
Sure. Yep.
Where did those come from? And then, like, everybody had them. So I kind of feel that the big win for me is watching the Velveteen Rabbit, watching everything come true, and then seeing. I mean, I got customers all over the world. It's crazy. Oh, we just got someone in Dubai, and now someone in Northern Ireland, and just bought, and someone in Australia, someone in Argentina. Like, holy crap. Like, we just sold a bunch of folks in India to colleges. Colleges are using this for admissions. I'm like, what? It's crazy. But it's been really cool. So big win. Family, watching the baby and watching my customers be happy. It's awesome. I love it.
Huge wins.
Yeah.
Huge wins.
It's fun when your win is other people's wins. And, that's what you're getting to celebrate, is other people winning in their business and finding solutions. And that's awesome.
And I got to say, we just got off live a little while ago talking about LiveSwitch and how excited I am to be a part of it, going live with it tomorrow for my company. But I think you're talking about the customers love it, and the customers love it. Like, now it's part of an experience for them to, like, go live real time with them. Like, "Oh yeah, this is what I want to get done in my house," or "This is the issue. Let me show you this," and walk around. And, like, it just gamifies it maybe a little bit more for the customer instead of like, yeah, I'll wait here for you to come between 1 and 4 and hope you come on time. And then we can walk around, talk about things, but you think you're probably not going to show up. But no, we're going to do it right here, right now, live on the spot. Let's go ahead and walk around the house, bust out your phone, and, let's have fun and talk about it. So.
Yeah, what's cool, what one of my customers said, it's like, everyone's kind of initially got on board with FaceTime, watching the kids blow the candles out or having grandma come. So there's like a warmness to it. Now, some people hate it. Some people are like, video camera, oh, heck no. I ain't never going to change. No problem. No problem. I'm not mad about that. But the ones that get it, it becomes like this warm thing because you're seeing them, they're seeing you, and then you're getting ready to like walk around. And like some of my customers are like, oh yeah, well, I'll be having my coffee. Customer will. It's like one of my customers, I was just drinking coffee for the first 10 minutes before they like stood up and walked around. And it's just something to see the human connection, having that human connection matters. Like people buy from people they like. And this is cool too, because it's like you look tech savvy, you look like one step ahead. They're like, wow, like, and a lot of times I'm sure you've experienced this, and I did when I was running my business, is when I needed to go give a quote. A lot of times it might be the wife or the spouse, there, and they're kind of nervous, like here's this guy coming over, gonna get in my house. Like it can be a little intimidating, especially if you look like JC. Now with me, I'm not as intimidating. I'm like a skinny little geek, so like I'm not scary. But JC comes in, you're like, oh boy, like not only is he a good looking guy, but hopefully he's huge. Like I'm hoping I'm all right here, but like it's just one of those things for safety, convenience. We all live in the age of Amazon Prime, DoorDash, all that. The food just shows up, the groceries just Instacart. So I think customers just kind of expect it now, and if you, and eventually you're kind of going to look like a caveman, driving out, like, and why? Like my customers who track everything, they're like, my win rate is the same, just as high when I do this. And my customers love it. Again, it's not for every one of them, but it's one of those things that it becomes to be expected. And why not, give that as an option? And even if you don't want to, like one of our customers are like, well, I've been going out for the last 20 years. I've never changed. And like, I'm like, no problem. I'm like, I ask them like, how far will you drive out though for a deal? Will you drive across the country? Will you fly on an airplane? Usually there's a limit. Like, I don't want to drive farther than an hour out because I don't even know if I'm going to win the business. Like, okay, so let's talk about those 2-hour drives. What if you could do a virtual estimate after 2 hours? Would you take the job though? If you sold the job, would you drive your team out there 2 hours? Oh, heck yeah. I'll take that money. Yeah. Like, here we go. Why don't we start there? But we'll crawl before we walk, before we run. So that onboarding stage, but it's been cool to watch people embrace technology. My favorite is when the peers are like, oh, heck no, I ain't doing that. And then like 2 months later, like we went from never doing these to like, I'm never not doing these. And that's like a huge win. Like when your parents start using their iPhone for the first time and now they're addicted, right? So
yeah. They're playing their Candy Crush.
Exactly.
All right, James, we nerded out on some stuff real fast over here. Talked about your journey, loved it, so exciting. It's pretty cool. Not only that are you close to us in the state of North Carolina, but we have pressure washing ties, so that's exciting too. But let's talk about that journey of entrepreneurship from the painting to going into the hedge fund to where you are now. It wasn't all rainbows. It wasn't all highlight reels. There's got to be some moments where you're like, holy cow, like maybe this wasn't a good option. Maybe I should picked a different degree or a different field. Do you want to describe to our listeners just, a trend or a Foxhole moment where you're like, shoot, I don't know what I'm going to do, but, and walk us through that situation?
Yeah. I mean, if you've owned a business for more than a day and it's not just you, yourself, and I, a team of 3, you actually hire like one other person. Welcome to management. Welcome to paying a paycheck. Welcome to, you got employees, right? Because I always try to help my folks be like, can you be an owner? Like I always tell them like an owner, when, they see trash on the floor, they pick it up and throw it away because they like the business. When an employee sees it, like, not my job, not my problem. I'm like, I got to deal with people, man. People are the hard thing. Finding out they're a blessing. And sometimes you want to shake them. Like I can't even put now on HR. I can't even do that anymore. I just got to be like, There's a little thing called, when you have a job, can you come to work today? Hello, this is not your mama. It's time to be at work. Hello, like we have a customer like that. Oh my goodness. I remember painting a house. and I'm going to do the final rock around with the customer. We're painted the whole house, right? Head to toe, 2-story. And I'm walking the customer around. The customer like, the house is kind of shiny. I'm like, house is real shiny. Like it is gleaming. I'm like, oh God, I know.
no.
We put high gloss where it was supposed to be flat. So this house was like Christmas, you know, you didn't even need to hire the Christmas company to put bulbs on it. The house itself was like, I was like, oh my God. Guys, when you start spraying the house, did nobody see this? Did nobody see? Maybe it was just so cloudy. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but my God, I had to repaint the whole house again. I mean, I lost
no.
I lost a lot of money on that because I had to put my guys back up. So what went into a money-making venture became a nonprofit real fast, right? And so it's those kind of moments where you're just like, guys, come on, you know, like we don't swear at the customers, like clean up, like please just say nice things. Like it's that kind of stuff that, and you've been in it before. It's every day, you know, like you're just dealing with people. You're trying to be the mom and dad of the organization. You know, you're trying to raise people up. Now, beautiful things happen, but we're not talking about the beauty. We're talking about the scary path. And growing a fast growing company, like when you're Inc. 500 and I'm hiring tons and tons of people, I got new faces every week. And I'm not good at remembering names. I don't know about you guys, but I can pick you out of a lineup now, JC, but I might forget your name next week. This is not, I'm a visual guy, right?
No
All
thanks.
these new
I'm the
people,
same.
I'm trying to train them. I'm trying to get them going. I got one guy I hired one time. The police came in the office and took my new hire away. This is when I hired him in big cohorts. Like, here's 40 people marching in. Like, we're doing our best. We're doing background checks, but stuff happens. You know, you open up a drawer in the cubicles and there's a bunch of airplane bottles because someone's drinking on the job, or someone wants to, like, they do something dumb with a customer. Or if you name it, I've seen it. You know, I've seen it. And like, whether it's a sales guy or an engineer, and I don't know what happens. Like, and sometimes I do the old man thing. Like, oh, I can't believe they don't do this. Like, I interview people now. Remember back in the day where you have to wear a suit, even if like I'm going to work at Burger King, I'm putting the suit on because I was raised that way. I interviewed folks. They got a hat on in the interview, like a hat, like for like a. I'm like, this is not a home. Like, you're gonna be in front of like selling the corporate, like, and they got a hat on. Like, what am I supposed? I don't want to be biased or anything, but I'm kind of like, how about a cover letter?
The job, yeah.
Yeah, like just go to, you don't have to, it can be you can borrow a suit from someone or something, but that's the old school side of me too, right? Where I'm like, okay, I got to change some as well. So I think I got to deal with myself. That's hard enough. I got to deal with other people. That's hard. And then I got to professionally build them up, grow them, and leave them better than I found them, and deal with the nonsense that comes from running a business. So being an entrepreneur is beautiful. It is like raising a family sometimes. You know, all right, kids, sit down. I'm not trying to talk negative about people because there's beautiful people. I'm just saying, you know, this stuff comes up and you got to deal with it and try not to compose myself so I don't do something that gets me kicked like a lawsuit. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's true because like nothing surprises me anymore. Whether it's the applications. I mean, I've got an application from somebody a long time ago, and it had their he wrote on that he was single, like he was like on a dating app or something. Like, I don't need to know if you're single, married. Like don't that's fine. Like all these things, like profile pictures that you'll find on like Facebook, or they'll put in there as their headshot, like in the resumes. Like, it's just crazy the way that everything shifted from going back to like the 90s when I remember going out and doing interviews. Like, I was 16, 17 years old, but I had a tie on. Like, I would go and dress like my dad taught me to, and like how it was back in the day. Now it's just flip-flops and maybe a cutoff if we're lucky.
And I'll show up maybe not even early, or late. I'll show up 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
You're not going to show up 5 minutes late to interview. At least you're not going to work for me, because you're not going to show up 5 minutes late to my customer. That's for darn sure. On time is late. That's what my grandfather told me, and that's how I operate. So we start early because it says a lot about who we are, right? But even with all that, you know, I think what's beautiful is, like, I remember hiring a bunch of ex-MLB baseball players and bringing them into sales. And I had this one guy, he was on the Cardinals, and he first sales job, after they kind of retire, they're not really fully retired because some of the ball players didn't make enough to just, hey, forget you money. They're like, they got to keep working. And so, like, I had this guy, Larry, he would come in and everybody loved Larry. Like he comes in smiling ear to ear, like everyone best friends with Larry, high-fiving, like even between like lunch breaks and stuff, everyone's around Larry's desk. And I'm like, everyone loves this guy. Well, he gets on the phone to do sales, and something weird happens sometimes when people pick up a phone to say, hey, this is James with LiveSwitch. They start sounding like a robot or something, or like they forget like they're a real person. And so Larry would call, and I'm like, didn't sound like Larry. And Larry couldn't get any sales, you know. I'm like, dude, be Larry. Just everyone loves you, man. Why do you sound like a robot when you pick up the phone? Like, be Larry. And so finally he did. And now I was driving, I kid you not, like I listened to a bunch of sales podcasts, like sales leadership podcasts, and I'm driving along and up starts a show, and it's a very popular show, like thousands of listeners. They're interviewing my guy, Larry. And Larry is actually one of the most popular salespeople for motivational speaking in the U.S. Larry Long Jr. Look him up. It's awesome. I mean, and I've got plenty of stories like that. Guys that went from I got a guy with me I hired out of college and with me again, and he's turned into an incredible professional over the last 2 decades. But watching people go from like right out of college, are you going to come to work on time today, to being like, I got the #1 sales rep at Cisco, and I got him first, and now he's like in a private concert with Alicia Keys in Hawaii. I'm like, good Lord, like it's awesome, you know? So anyway, that's more happy path, right? But anyway, it's good stuff.
I love how you described though the like range of emotion or the spectrum of leading people as an entrepreneur. And it definitely can be the biggest foxhole moments. Like you said, you described them with humor of people. They are a necessary part of our business and building it. You know, the bigger that you're going to build, the more people that you're going to have on your team and the part of it. But if you can't figure out how to be a good leader, you can't build a big team. And you describe some of the pitfalls for sure. I mean, it's our biggest challenges, I think, always come in the people. And then how we can overcome and become leaders. And then you described at the end, the spectrum of it's also the most rewarding when you can, you know, develop people. And you said it when you were describing, like, there's so much pressure in leading. Like, we've got to have them do this. They got to be successful. We got to be their parent, and we got to leave it. They got to leave better off than when they came. The pressure of all of this, but that's the most rewarding when, you know, we did build them into a better, we were part of building them into a better person.
Absolutely. I mean, I think some of the most loving thing you can do for someone is tell them the truth, even if it hurts, because sometimes love always doesn't feel good, you know? And I've seen plenty of turnaround stories from people like literally getting ready to get fired from the whole company. And I tell them, do you know what everyone says about you behind your back? Because I'm about to tell you, right? And they leave a little hurt. But you know what? I've seen people rise up from that. I've seen people leave from that. And sometimes the best thing to do is like, tell them. So my brother was a professional bodybuilder. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't look like JC or any of these guys. I got my mother's frame, but my brother got like Adonis. I'm like, what the heck? You know, like, can I get a little bit of that, you know? And here's the thing, guys. I'm not going to be a professional weightlifter. I'm not going to be Adonis. I'm not going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger 2.0. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm okay with that. But if I'm hitting the gym as hard as I can to try to earn my family, because I'm going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger 2.0, like, and that's all I want to be when I grow up. And I got pictures of Arnold everywhere. And then, I mean, I can chase that. I can pretend. Or someone can be honest with me, like, James, I don't think that's going to happen for you. And I see that happening in professions. Like, I don't think you're going to be a salesperson. You can't close a door. But that's okay.
You can't close the door. I love that.
I'm like, it's okay. Like, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, you can go and do a tons of other things. Welcome to, it doesn't always have to be America. Welcome to the world. Like, go find something else to do and be the best chef or be the best this, that, and the other. But it's just hard. Like, I think as employees, we have people that we kind of love, you know, you're like, dude, I like this guy. I like this gal. You know, I want the culture. They bring the attitude. They bring the right thing. They want to build. But bless their heart if they can't paint fast enough or, like, you know, get the job done where it needs to get done. And you got to have that hard conversation as an entrepreneur, because guess what? It hurts my pocketbook. I got to pay their salaries, you know, and maybe they don't have a home for them here. You know, I've told people like, look, I actually think the best thing you can do full time right now is go find a new job. I actually don't have a home for you here. And I hate to do it because everybody loves you. But I got to protect the business too, because I got other mouths to feed, right? It's not even about me. You know, I got to make myself redundant. The only way I'm going to grow fast is, you know, you have those leaders and those owners that like to hold on to everything. And they got to, if they don't do it, no one can do it right. You know, those kind of folks like, well, they can kind of, I got to make myself redundant. That's how I grow fast. That's how I can teach a person to fish rather than just give them the fish, because sometimes I just want to give them the fish and get done with it, because it takes me longer to even teach you than just give you the fish. But like, you know, I think there's a lot of just, can I make myself redundant? Can I tell someone to go even when it's hard? Can I tell them the truth? These are the hard things, I think, you know, the things that take a lot of courage to look someone in the eyeballs and tell them, you ain't Arnold 2.0, buddy.
Pop that bubble.
I think I can be JC. I always think so. Like, I go to the gym with him, and I think I can be, but
She's beside me, but she ain't me.
I'm not getting there.
Size arm. Look, I got the same size arm you got, Angela. Yours is probably bigger than mine.
But you've got a beautiful beard. I've got a Joe Dirt beard. So, you know, I mean, we've both got things that
Everyone has their strength.
James, I have a question for you. You know, you've said you exited a $1 billion company, so you know, scaled from the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figure mark, and I'm sure they all came with different challenges going from one to the next. At what level did you find it to be the most difficult, and then where did you see like a sweet comfort spot? That's
each pillar, each, you know, mark you want to cross dollars and cents wise has its own blessings and curses with it. You know, like when you're really small, you want to be really big. And then when you're really big, gosh, remember when it was nice to be small? Like you're never satisfied, you know, because everything has its own headaches. You know, scaling is hard. You know, like you go and listen to Elon Musk, Jobs, any of these guys, like they're going to tell you scaling is the hardest part. And it is. Scaling is really hard. Being able to find the right people. Like even right now, like our product, 95% renewal rate, customers love it. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of industries I need to go to, and I got to find the people to do it. Like it's not just going to happen, you know, on me, myself, and I alone. I've got to make myself redundant and grow the company. But I find that the hardest part is maybe towards the beginning. It's also my most fun part, by the way. Affectionately call it the puberty stage of business growth, when your voice is cracking and hair's coming out of weird spots. Like it's because you don't know everything. And sometimes you're expected to, and you're like, God, I don't see it yet. Like it's still a little foggy. You know, I know how we want to be, but like figuring out the fog, like, do I go and get a consultant? Then you get these consultants and they got their big degrees and they've done it like 20 years ago and they want to tell you, and you got to pay them more money than you want to give. And then they kind of sell you some snake oil, you know, where they're like, are you sure that works? Like you sound good. Like you got like the 5-syllable words and everything, my man, but like, I'm going to try it, but it didn't work. And especially when I'm in a new industry, like WebRTC, what? Video, who? Like, let me go and talk to the people who founded it. And then they don't always know the answer. Like learning how to take the meat and the bones. So the beginning is the hardest, and separating the magic beans and the snake oil from like the reality of the blocking and tackling and the rowing the boat. Like what we were talking about the other day, Angela, like get back to the selling, like cold call, like put out a good piece of content, like make it happen, shake a hand, make a friend, get a network. But like that beginning stage is when you don't know enough people, you don't always have your product on tight, you know, you don't always have the right team in place, getting her off the ground, getting the boat off the dock. But once the boat's going, you know, obviously there's other things when you get to, you know, $1 billion company where you're like departments and employee numbers and regulations and legal and people suing you, and like, you got to like put up different walls that you didn't have to worry too much about, because once you got money, guess what? They're going to come after it, and everyone and their mama wants it. So you got to like protect the house, you know? So I still find the in the beginning to be harder than when we're big.
Good answer. Love that.
Yeah, there are different seasons of like with each one. One of our friends, Dan, calls them purgatory, like different, you know, you get to a new level and it comes with its own purgatory of things that are kind of like that beginning state. Once you get to one that are like, what? We have to figure this out again to go from this. It's the same, like snake oil figure out, and then you get on the sailing again. It's almost like your boat like docks for a second, like you've got to get up, and sail to the new level. But that's a good point about the beginning. I find it the most exciting too, because I don't know why, because maybe nothing's wrong. You think like there's all possibilities and maybe nothing's wrong, or it's you have so many possibilities of creation.
Yeah.
But a lot can go wrong too.
A lot can, yeah, you can lose. A lot of businesses fail, but you got to get back up and try again and do it again. But yeah, your point of like getting up to a place and plateauing, like sometimes you just keep plateauing. You've got to either mix the deck of your teams and like move people around, or bring that next person in that's going to move it up the echelon, or like it's like stair stepping, and with fast growing, like when you're going from zero to millions. Oh, it's crazy. I mean, it's just like you're holding on to the rocket ship and like the sprockets are falling off and the wheels are popping off and you're just trying to keep her all together. And then you get to that cruising altitude, you're like, whoo, you try, and then you do it again. You're like, oh my God. And then you get a little, you can lose yourself in it. I think one of my negatives is like losing myself in my business, where I'm like, I don't know the off button. Like I'm thinking about it 2 a.m. and on the weekends, and I'm going the extra mile. I'm doing the extra travel. I'm burning myself out for my business, and for all good reasons. Like I want to take care of all my team, and I want to take care of the family, and I want to do great things. And I want to keep building and building. And sometimes it comes out of personal, like I've had that moment, like when I walk in and I'm like, who is this person living with me? And I think she's called my wife, and having to be like, whoa. So I've learned, I think the longer things go around, is learning how to have rhythms of rest, rhythms of like, I've got to rest, on purpose,
Right.
Rhythms of like, I've got to focus on things that probably should be a higher priority than like getting this like contract signed and docu-signed and blah and delivered. Like I probably just need to go on a walk in the neighborhood with my wife and hold her hand. Like, and learning the hard way, when you look at someone and you like don't know them for a bit, it's like, okay, what do I do about this, or not, or something bad happen, like, or they say, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore, So that's the other side that we don't talk about sometimes as business owners, like the personal sacrifice that it takes, to build, or even to miss our own paychecks. Like when you pay the employee the paycheck and you don't get the paycheck and they have no idea, they're like, well, it ain't big enough. I'm like, mine was zero, mine was zero. Actually, I lost money. Oh yeah, no, it's hard. Hard to get you that promotion and get you more money. Like, it's hard to explain to that. These are just the tough things that hindsight 2020. But I'm going to try to do better today and tomorrow and the next week, learning from that.
There are seasons of entrepreneurship. I mean, you described it well. And there are seasons that we have to grind that aren't just at the beginning. That, we talked about those different levels of growth that require all of us, that you have to dive back in, and they require a personal sacrifice and a sacrifice in our relationships and the different things in our life when we dive back in. And part of it is, do we come back out for rest? Do we communicate to the people in our lives that like, this isn't forever, but I have to dive back in and grind right now? And I think a lot of times you can get when you're saying like, I'm trying to do it better every day and better this time, trying to learn the lessons, is at those phases, we forget to do it again. I think in the beginning, like you get in the grind, right? You're grinding and then you realize like, wait a second, I'm supposed to delegate. I'm supposed to get my freedom back. I'm supposed to take a step back. I'm now spending time with my kids and my partner and doing the things I want. But then as your business gets to the next phase and you have to dive in again, sometimes you forget to reevaluate that, right? Like how I dove in, but how am I supposed to evaluate now and step back out and have a balance of and priorities of everything in my life? And not only like relationships and everything in my life, but a prioritization of everything in the business. Like, how am I supposed to step back out and focus what I'm supposed to be focusing on?
I agree. Yeah, a lot to learn.
Always learning.
Yeah,
That's
always
the thing.
learning.
Yeah, always learning. All right, James. Well, that was quick. A
Yep.
little too quick because I've got like 5 more questions I want to ask, and we'll have to do part 2 of season 2 with you.
Yes. I think we've already learned that from conversations with you. Like, I'm excited that we're going to get to see you in person because we could go retreat style in conversations with you.
Back at you. Time flies. I mean, I'm like, where did that 45 minutes just go? You know, and we're
But
just getting
for our
warmed up.
viewers- Yeah, exactly. Right. We're just getting started. Where can they find out more about LiveSwitch?
LiveSwitch.com. LiveSwitch.com. Anything you'd want to know, you can hop right in. We have videos, testimonials. You can just click contact us. It'll come to me or one of my team, and we'll make sure you're taken care of if you have further questions. But everything at LiveSwitch.com. And if you want to find me, LinkedIn, James Hatfield. Hatfield's in McCoy's, not Metallica. Please reach out, connect. Would love to connect with anybody. And then if you have any questions or anything I can do to help, please, I'm easy to get a hold of.
All right, James, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be working with you and your company here in the near future. For all our viewers, when you get a chance, if you're listening to the show, go ahead and take a look at liveswitch.com. Guarantee if you're in the home service industry or really any industry that you're going into right now, it is going to be absolute game changer for your business when it comes to estimating and gamifying, having fun with your clients along the way with the process. So stay tuned for more on that. But that wraps up another episode of In the Foxhole. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Stay tuned for another episode next week. Take care.